So let's move on to this because this is another interesting thing. So the San Francisco Giants, we were live on the air when this broke. When they signed Blake Snell, it was a 2-year, $62 million contract. And let's just say this, Dalton, in 3 starts, it has not gone well for Blake Snell with the Giants. 0-3. His ERA is 11.5. 11 2/3 innings pitched, 12 Ks. He's given up 15 earned runs, 18 hits, 2 homers in 3 starts. Just not great for Blake Snell, right? And this isn't something that we need to talk extensively on, but for the NL Cy Young winner, I'm sure that this is not what the Giants signed up for. What do you make of that whole scenario? And should teams like the Yankees be happy they didn't sign him?
Blake Snell has done this before.
Yes.
Like where he goes through these stretches, especially early in the season, where he just kind of looks a mess.
Yeah.
So like I don't know. I mean, it's you like this is again one of these scenarios where like we're dealing with such a small sample that like what I start looking at is I'm like, is the fastball losing its edge? Well, not really, right? I mean, last year he was 95.3 with his 4-seamer. This year's 90, or no, excuse me, last year's 95.5. This year's 95.3. So like to me, the stuff is still the same. But last year, hitters hit 255 off his fastball. This year, they're hitting 381. Like, that's not sustainable. You know what I mean? Like, part of this is, the contact that's being made against him is just resulting in tough results right now. And I know that sounds like kind of a cop-out answer, but I think it's the reality of it. Like, this is what 3 starts can look like.
Yeah.
It's not good. It's not encouraging. But, he's still 75th percentile in whiff percentage. Most of his baseball savant stats through 3 starts are actually closer to like middle of the road than they are to bad. I think he'll be fine. But Blake Snell kind of can walk. He can kind of walk the line, right? Because sometimes he just loses the zone. And if you lose the zone and you're constantly pitching behind in counts, then you have to groove him some of the time, right? So Blake Snell's he's always going to have stretches like this. He's also going to have stretches where he's absolutely dominant. He's never going to be horribly efficient. But I think this is kind of just one of those things that you have to live with. Now, look, if you and I are having this conversation again in 2 weeks and he's made 4 more starts and it still looks like this, then I'm like, but 3 starts in, I like, there's a little bit of a light on, but it's not flashing. It's not like a blaring alarm. It's a little bit of like, whoa, this doesn't look good.
Something to look out for. Right. It's something to track for the rest of the year. I agree with you. This is kind of who Blake Snell is, right? This is it. I mean, even last year, let's just give you a look here. These were his numbers last year as the NL Cy Young winner, right? 2.25 ERA, 32 starts, 234 Ks. He led the majors in walks, 99 walks, but again, I think everybody kind of figured that when you're signing Blake Snell, that's what you're getting. You're getting a guy that has, more chase stuff than power through you in the zone stuff.
Yeah, but Mike, he also went 0-3 with a 5.30 in April last year.
Right.
Like gave up 5 homers in 18 innings last April. Like this is just kind of something that happens with him. And then he went 1-2 and like he didn't really put it together until June.
Like, no, that's exactly where I was going. Is like if you look at last year of what Blake Snell was, it was a tale of 2 halves, really, right? The first half of the season, Blake Snell was terrible. He was terrible, and then the last half of the year, his ERA was like 1 through 4 months. Like he was absolutely dominant for the rest of the season. So that's just kind of who Blake Snell is as a player.